Hey everyone, I'm Siobhan and we are the Carbon Markets Problem Pack. Thanks so much for being here today and for being interested in this topic. Today what we're going to do is we're going to share, we're going to pitch an idea to you that came out of our sprint. And it's an idea that we're calling CarbonSync, and it's a matching platform for buyers and sellers in the voluntary carbon markets. So go ahead, next slide. Okay, so we came to this space, which is a really complex and convoluted space, right? We all know that this is a really tricky industry to be in. And we kept coming back to the idea of, okay, carbon markets need to scale, right? This is one quote from the IIF report, but really we saw this across a lot of the research, was that voluntary carbon markets need to grow by more than 15-fold by 2030 in order to reach a 1.5 degree pathway. And so when we're thinking about this, that's a lot of growth that's happening really quickly, right? So go ahead and tap the next one. And our caveat to that, is we want to grow these markets without sacrificing quality. And so the good news is there's a lot of people doing really incredible work in this space. So we have people building out carbon markets. We have people working on improving validation. A lot of disparate people trying to come together to work on standards. And so we kept thinking, okay, well, this is a really complex space. How can we add value? And so we started thinking a lot about gaps in this marketplace. And so we thought about the market demand signal gap. We thought about project investment gaps, about lowering the hurdle and the challenge for people that aren't carbon professionals to participate in the market. And then the need to kind of connect buyers and sellers beyond just the carbon credit, right? And so in thinking about that, go ahead, next slide, John. In thinking about that, we really honed in to how do buyers and sellers connect and influence each other, right? So this is obviously a simplified schematic here of the process on both sides. We conducted a number of interviews and a lot of research to try and understand better and better how they are meeting each other, what their needs are, what their struggles are. And so kind of thinking about it that way, let's go ahead, John, zoom out for a minute and talk about, I'm going to summarize these quotes for you, but I wanted to throw them up here because we think they really kind of exemplify the scenario we're seeing take place in the VCMs right now. So the first quote is basically the idea that more and more customers and more buyers of carbon credits want quality. They want to have a sense of what are the co-benefits, where is the project location, really be specific about what they're purchasing. What is this carbon? Where is it coming from and where is it going? Unfortunately, and this is a quote from Carbon 180, we found that whether or not you are a really, veteran carbon professional or whether or not you're just entering this space, people had a lot of trouble finding the right credits for them. There was just a lot of struggle going on in this complex space. And unfortunately, the last one, the most disheartening thing we found was that a lot of people are giving up. They're becoming defeated and they're choosing to leave the space. And so with that context, go ahead, John, we're trying to think about these buyers and sellers. How do we take these linear journeys and really bring visibility and connection to them? Because they really do need and influence each other a lot. And so how can we better bring them together in a transparent and trustworthy manner? And that, go ahead, John, is where we came up with the idea for CarbonSync. Okay, so CarbonSync would basically be the dating app for VCMs, right? So you would fill out, every buyer would fill out a full buyer profile, if you will. So they would have, how many credits they're looking to buy, their price point, any geographic preferences, additionality preferences, et cetera. And then on the other side, we have the sellers that would likewise be filling out a dating profile, if you will, of the carbon credits. So is this credit verified? What's the permanence of this credit, et cetera? And this would really allow them to connect in a really easy way and funnel buyers into pre-existing carbon markets. And the hope here is that this would leverage the power of the market to drive towards comparability and quality. Because look, we are not the czars of comparability and quality. That's a really challenging topic. But using the kind of dating profile analogy, the richer your profile, the more honest and transparent, the more matches you're going to get. And so kind of building towards that, nudging in that direction. And really just, we want to streamline and scale VCMs around quality as quickly as possible. Go ahead, John. So kind of diving into this buyer and seller experience, we did these interviews, we did a lot of research. We really wanted to understand their perspective. Go ahead and tap, John. So on the buyer side, what are their pain points and how can we best alleviate those pain points? How can we bring trust and transparency in a way that is streamlining this process? And so, you know, a lot of people we talk to were talking about there's just too many databases to search. They don't know where to start. They have too many tabs open on their screen. And so we want to really provide, there's so much to learn here from existing kind of search interfaces. We would really want to make this a platform that is so familiar to non-professionals, that it's so comfortable based on all the platforms out there, that the second you get in, you can really feel like you're engaging easily into the carbon space. And, you know, a lot of people were saying that information that they wanted, that they thought was important when they were shopping, was missing or vague from the current carbon markets that they were looking at. And so just really creating rich, fleshed out profiles, we think will help that on the buyer side. And then it'll give buyers the option to express their future intent to buy. Because currently, mostly just buy what's currently available on the market, but this would kind of create a database of here are all these buyers, here are the specific credits and the type of projects they're looking for. How can we cater to their needs? And then go ahead, John. That kind of leads on to the seller side of reducing the volatility and uncertainty of demand. There's a lot of volatility right now in demand, and help sellers kind of match buyer expectations, understand really what buyers are looking for, help them acquire longer term commitments. And ideally, you know, if there's this database and understanding of all these potential buyers that want to buy credits, that would drive funding and project financing into project development, and really kind of build out a sense of what are the market value of core and additional attributes through transparency. And basically what we really want to do here is we want to just increase the number of transactions that are happening and increase them in a way that's you know, transparent, that focuses on quality, that people feel they have easy access to this market, and that sellers feel like they have a good understanding of the demand and how to reach buyers. So that's our idea, and I'm going to kick it over to Neel here, and he can do a little Q&A with you guys.
Yeah, so we can just open it up for questions. Here's some primers for you on the screen, but certainly would like to address any questions that folks had. We had a great time interviewing and collecting data on both buyers and sellers, and we got a lot of just really, every time we got another interview and the responses came back, the whole crew really lit up and you know, thought it was really interesting and excited about it. So happy to share anecdotes, happy to share what we found so far. And I'll just say that we're all, or several of us, are committed to continuing on and collecting more information about the market going forward. So we'd like to talk to more buyers and more sellers. So if you're willing to be part of that group as either one, we're super interested in what you have to say. We want to understand where the complexities lie and where the yeah. Oh, it looks like Tito's saying put the questions in the chat and then we can forward them through that way. So see some questions coming in, and Tito, do you want me to just grab them off here as they come? And great, cool. Is Nori doing anything like this? Nori is certainly curating their sellers, right? As far as I know. I don't work for Nori, so I don't have all the inside information, but I know that they're attempting to curating and they're working a lot. One of my bookmarked favorites is Paul's post about the difficulties, all the big engineering challenges that they have right now at Nori, and validating and making sure sellers are working as one of the ones on their list. So that's certainly in the neighborhood. I don't think it's purely directed at matchmaking, and it's definitely specific to the Nori platform, which is perfectly fine for them to be doing. I think, you know, our vision is that there would be something that covered a little bit more scope and was across multiple platforms and allowed for comparability, which is one of the big things we were interested in. Is comparability a big hurdle for sellers? Yes, for sure. You know, for sellers, I think so, because it is for buyers. Insofar as people want to sell credits to people who are willing to buy them, our buyers are certainly saying, what does this look like compared to another one? And how, you know, if I don't have the same metrics on both types of sellers, I don't have a meaningful way to make a comparison and a decision between the two. And so I think that is a hurdle for sellers, because eventually they're going to have to find these buyers. And so far, the buyers that we've talked to, small colleges, private organizations, right, a bunch of different folks across sort of academic, real estate, multiple spectrums, they do want to be able to make that comparison to make a buying decision. And right now they can't. So I think having a standardized profile of some kind allows those to be made. Who is the target persona for the sellers? Are they the carbon sequestration companies we see today, or are they farmers, et cetera? Great question. I think this operates at multiple layers. We also see situations which the answer is all of the above, I think. But we do see brokers in the mix as well, right? So you see like a Microsoft coming in and doing a huge buy, but effectively when you look at the nuts and bolts of how they're doing the buy, there's a lot of broker relationships or other companies that are brought in to consult very heavily. So you've got, on top of just sellers and folks, who are trying to, who are actually producing carbon sequestration and hoping to sell a credit, you also have these brokers and sellers and stakeholders in the middle that would want the same level of transparency around these as well, and could act as market enablers, right? For the folks who who just want to say, I want to hire a consultant and have them tell me what the smartest buy is for me, and take that advice. I'm watching, I'm mindful of my time here. I think I just hit my time, right? We're at 12:17.
Yeah, perfect.
These are all great, and I'd like to answer them all. You can always DM me on Air Miners, and I will definitely share with the group. Like I said, we're really interested in continuing to do a lot of market research on this and learn what people's buying and selling experiences are. And reflecting that back to the Air Miners community is hugely valuable, because it always leads to more feedback, which we super appreciate. So thanks a lot.